Hi everybody, this is Shri. Welcome back to my channel Vedic Living. Today we'll be continuing the Nakshatra series, and the nakshatra that we're going to talk about now is the Mrigashira Nakshatra. This nakshatra, it extends from around 23 degrees of Taurus to about 6 degrees and 40 minutes of Gemini. Now, before we jump into talking about this fascinating nakshatra, this story behind this nakshatra is just, it's amazing. You're going to love it. But before we go into that, I want to tell you that my website, vedicliving.com, if you go over there, you can sign up for my free newsletter, which I send out every month with all the predictions for the upcoming month. And also, I want to remind you to sign up for the magazine that we are publishing. It's a monthly magazine, it's a digital flip book. And I hope you guys sign up for that because we have a lot of information every month. Wonderful articles, beautiful pictures, and it's just such a vibrant and fun magazine. I know you're going to love it. So make sure you sign up for that. Both those links are below my video right here on YouTube. So now let's talk about Mrigashira Nakshatra. So like I said, this nakshatra extends from Taurus to Gemini. So around 23 degrees of Taurus to around 640 of Gemini. And, it's the right after Ashwini, Bharani, and Rohini, this is the next one that comes in line. Now, if you think about it, Mrigashira, the actual translation, Mriga means animal or specifically deer, and Shira means head. So the symbology of this nakshatra is a deer's head. Okay, so one of the main things you will see with natives who have this nakshatra prominently in their charts, like they might have moon there or they might have sun there. One of the main things that you'll see is they have really beautiful facial features, like almost like a deer, like especially the eyes. The eyes are so expressive, and they'll have these beautiful large eyes which look like a deer or a doe. So that's one of the main characteristics that you will see. Now, the stars that form this nakshatra, it's basically, it's the Orion constellation. Okay. Now, the Orion constellation is the hunter, as you know. And one of the main stars in this constellation is Bellatrix, which is basically on the left shoulder of the hunter. So I find this very interesting because not only is the star or the constellation that forms this nakshatra a hunter as Orion, but the mythology and the story also has to do a lot with a hunter. So that's what you're going to find really fascinating when we talk about that. Okay. So the main story, the main mythology of this nakshatra, a lot of stories. So if you go online and you Google, you'll find a lot of different stories, not just for this nakshatra, almost every nakshatra. So there'll be a Greek mythology, there'll be a Hindu mythology, there'll be all kinds of stories. But one of the main prominent mythology stories for this nakshatra has to do with Lord Shiva. So as you know, Lord Shiva is one of the Trinity gods, one of the main gods in India. And as the story goes, once upon a time, there was a hunter. And this hunter, he was in the forest hunting for animals. And he, in order to get a better view of the forest, he climbed a tree. He, when he climbed the tree, he saw a deer. And he thought, there you go, there's the deer, and I'm going to hunt this deer. I'm going to kill it, right? Now, what happened is that when he was, first of all, the tree that he climbed was a bilva tree. In India, it's actually a bale tree. And this particular tree has heart-shaped leaves. And the significance of this bale tree is that the leaves of this tree is the favorite of Lord Shiva. So it's used um, in all kinds of worshipping for Lord Shiva. When we worship the god, we use this particular leaf. It's a bay leaf. And he didn't know this, right? The hunter. He climbed the tallest tree he could find, or he climbed the nearest tree that he could climb. And he just did that to get a better vantage point. Now, what happened is he saw this deer. Now, the moment he saw this deer and he took aim to shoot his arrow at this deer, the deer started crying, and it said, please let me go home and say goodbye to my family, to my my kids. I need to say bye to them, and then I promise I will come back, and then you may kill me. And the hunter said, sure, he was not a bad guy. He just needed to hunt. And he said, I can wait till tomorrow. So why don't you go off and say goodbye to your family? Now, what happened is the deer went off to say goodbye to his family, but the hunter now had to wait all night. And as it so happens, he thought, okay, the safest place to wait is on top of the tree. So he climbed that same tree again. And while he was waiting, he got bored and, he had nothing else to do. So he was plucking the leaves of the tree and he started eating those, because he was hungry. And he thought, as he waited, he started eating the leaves. And also, as he was plucking the leaves, some fell down from the tree. And it just so happens that there was a Shiva Linga, or the idol of God Shiva, underneath that tree. It's basically made of stone. And he didn't know about that. So as he was plucking the leaves, the bay leaves from his hand fell onto the Shiva Linga. And, he kept he was up all night because he was waiting for the deer to come back. He, in essence, fasted because all he was eating was the bay leaves. And without knowing, he was also dropping the leaves on the Shiva Linga. So it just so happens that without the knowledge of it, he ended up fasting all night. He ended up worshiping the idol, and he ended up, being up all night. And this is exactly what we do at Shivaratri, which is one of the festivals in India. We, in order to worship God Shiva, we stay up all night, we fast, we worship the idol, and so on and so forth. So, but he didn't realize that he was doing that. He just ended up doing it because he was waiting for the deer to come back. In the morning, the deer came back. But what happened is, because he kept this fast all night, and because he ended up worshipping Lord Shiva, his mind automatically filled with happiness and bliss, and forgiveness, and just empathy for all living creatures, because that's what happens when you worship during Shivratri. That's what your mind is filled with, positive thoughts. Now, when the deer came back, just as he had kept his promise, he came back and he said, I said goodbye to my kids and I'm ready for you to kill me. The hunter said, you know, I'm impressed with your honesty, right? The deer didn't have to come back. I'm impressed with your honesty. And also because his mind was filled with this wonderful positive thoughts from the breath that he had kept overnight unknowingly, he let the deer live. And he said, you know, I'm going to let you live because I don't feel the need to kill another creature anymore, right? And that when he said this, Lord Shiva appeared in front of him. He was pleased and he gave him a boon. So this was the mythology of the hunter, and this is the mythology of this particular nakshatra. So one of the main things, now I'll tell you the characteristics of this nakshatra, and you will see the parallels between the characteristics of the nakshatra and the story that we talked about. Remember, these stories and mythology, they are like symbolisms, right? It's not that something like that actually happened. It's symbolic, because when you think about that story, you think about the characteristics of this person who has Mrigashira Nakshatra. Being a hunter, you will see people who have Mrigashira Nakshatra, they are always searching. They're searching for the truth. They're hunting all the time. Okay. They have the mind of the hunter, and they are very honest, because that's what the deer was. The deer was very honest, but they love searching. They like to dig deep and find the secrets of life. They are very philosophical, okay? And they are always looking for the meaning of life, because that's the symbology of the hunter, always looking for something, always searching for something. And one another thing is they love to collect things. You will see this a lot. I have a lot of people with Mrigashira Nakshatra in my family, and they love to collect small things. And you will see a lot of coin collectors and stamp collectors and treasure hunters, all, in this particular nakshatra. You'll see all of those people. Now, when you have your moon here, you have to remember your mother might be like this. Okay, when you have your moon in Mrigashira, your mother might be a person who likes to collect things, right? Now, like I said earlier, because of the symbology of the deer or the doe, people who have this particular nakshatra, they have large, expressive, beautiful eyes. Okay, and another thing is they're very sweet. They're very calm in their disposition, but very restless, extremely restless, because this nakshatra's ruler is Mars. So they're very active and very restless. They cannot sit still. Okay. They're not the kind of people to do a job where 9 to 5 they have to sit at a desk. They're the kind of people who you will see doing active jobs where they're constantly on their feet, they're constantly moving, or they'll be restless. Okay. They will have very beautiful children, and they are also very kind and soft and sweet because, as I talked about the mythology, the hunter transformed into a person who was a kind and soft person because he unknowingly kept the Shivaratri Vrat, right? So that's the whole symbology of this nakshatra. So, like I said, again, when you think about this nakshatra, think about people who are always searching for the truth. And they may be sometimes restless. You'll see a lot of times people with prominent planets in Mrigashira, they don't like being at the same job for a long time. They want to constantly change their jobs. They want to constantly look for something else. They are searching for something all the time. Okay. So, and if they have their moon there, their mother will be like that. If they have their sun in Mrigashira, their father may be like that. So, those are the different things that you need to keep in mind. But this is a beautiful nakshatra. And I also find that people with Mrigashira nakshatra are very trustworthy. Okay, because they have that kind soul, a soft soul, and they are wanting to help people. They're very trustworthy. So that is my take on the Mrigashira Nakshatra. I hope you liked this video and the story. And like I said again, don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Don't forget to subscribe to my newsletter. And remember about the magazine too. Go check it out and see if you like it. And once again, thank you so much for coming. And I'll come back to you with the next video very soon.